Hello, everybody. And my name is Esther van der Stappen. I'm from Utrecht University of Applied Sciences, and I will talk to you about the development of an online platform on blended learning for the Essence project. And well, basically, I want to take you onto with me on the journey we've been in for 10 months now in the Essence project, and we're not finished yet. So I won't tell you where the journey is going. I have some ideas, but I hope I can take you along the challenges we've been facing developing this platform, and maybe you even have some ideas for me or for us to improve this platform. Blended learn. Well, the Essence project, Arlijn already said some things about it. We believe it's a necessary challenge to educate you guys and girls to be prepared to find solutions for smart, sustainable cities. And we believe it's not something you do automatically, so we have to educate you to be, have the skills and the knowledge to make these solutions viable and implement them in society. To this end, we developed a course, a joint course, or we are developing a course, I should say, in the 3 years' time, to be able to enable you to do so. And this course is a joint course. These are the universities that are involved. And a joint course means that students from all these universities together will be in this course. So I believe many of you are exchange students, right? Can I see hands? Who is an exchange student? International student? Okay, well. This is also international education, but in a different form. So students in this joint course will work together in different locations on projects, on problems from municipalities. And well, we have to organize this, the content of the courses, the activities in the courses, but also the platform on which they can cooperate in these courses and in the project. And this all has to be done using blended learning, which there's no one definition that everybody agrees on. So I don't have the definition either. Maybe one of my colleagues will, but basically the first thing many of you will probably think of is that it has to do something with online education. We saw some very great examples by the previous speaker of online educational resources, learning objects, or platforms, but it's not all, and it was also emphasized in the previous presentation. It has to be complemented with face-to-face sessions and lessons and group work. But if you are, they really strengthen each other, as we have seen. But on the other hand, if you have doing a professional education or a vocational education, and you're learning to become some sort of profession for some specific job, you also have to learn in the workplace. So what we have, adopted as a blended learning philosophy, so to speak, in this project is that we want to mix all these three forms of learning and teaching, if you have a teacher's perspective, in this course. So it's not just the online and the face-to-face, but the workplace learning is also very important, because we want to make sustainable city engineers out of you. Well, maybe not you, but enough people to face the challenges of the future. So if you have international learning and international blended learning, if you combine it, then it becomes a bit complicated, because you have to combine all these aspects of blended learning and all these aspects of international education into one. So if you look at this map of Europe, which is a bit simplified, And if you apply the concepts of blended learning on this, then you can imagine that students from Valencia or Alcoy or Hamburg or Utrecht or Manchester or Turku will all having these workplace experiences, and also the online education resources and activities, and also the face-to-face sessions in their own local university. And these all have to be mixed. So my question to you is, do you have any imagination or any picture? What kind of platform would you have to, what do you need to make this possible? That was the challenge we were faced with. And if you realize that it's an international project which always is a bit complicated, because you have the geographical distances, the cultural differences, the language differences. But we have seen at UPV they have some very, very great technology to enable blended learning. But I know for a fact that they also have this in Hamburg. Well, not the same exactly, of course, but they do have some systems already, of course. And they do have in Manchester, and they do have in Turku, and we also have some stuff. And you cannot integrate it that easily, so that's also a complicating factor. Because we also, if you want to do our course, we don't want you to, for every different learning activity, go to a different platform. It has to be integrated for this course. So in the project plan of Essence, this was the goal of the infrastructure. We have to deliver a system of blended learning, which is a web-based platform, and it contains the online course material on smart sustainable cities, and it also has to have international usability because of the context of all the students that are involved. And it also has to have protected parts like grades and private, personal information of the students, but definitely also public parts, because we want to have things open for people to share, all the MOOCs, that kind of aspects are important, because we want to share the knowledge we are creating with the world. So this was the goal. And then we thought, well, what are we going to do to make this good platform? What we did is we have a faculty of education in our university, and we got advice from them. They do research on learning environments, and they told us, well, if you have to design a learning environment, you have to do it systematically. Well, I saw some same methodology in the previous presentation. You always have to evaluate, and you don't have to do it linearly, but you have to go in cycles of improvement of your system. So this is one of the, this is the background of what we have in the development process. And today I will tell you only basically about the analysis part and the design part. A little bit about the development part, but we're still developing and then evaluating, and then it will improve. So they said if you want to design a learning environment, you have to think of all these complex aspects, because learning is very complicated or complex. And what you have to think of is that it's not only a digital learning environment, it also is a physical learning environment. You have to think about socio-cultural settings of this international learning environment. And you have to think of that this e-learning environment has to support all these different kind of aspects of learning. And that only made it more complicated for us. So then they said, well, if you have these in the back of your mind, the infrastructure should enable all these other aspects that you have to consider. So today I will only be talking about the digital part, but you can rest assured, if you do this joint course in next year or the year after, then we will have also thought of how to organize the physical part of the face-to-face learning and also the socio-cultural setting. And we may have really thought of designing the learning activities and the tools and the documents, like the tools can also be lab equipment or rubrics for assessment or software tools. So today I will talk about the digital part of the learning environment. And well, I'm a lecturer and researcher at the ICT department, so I know if you want to design something and it's going to be software platform, then you have to do this. You think about the architecture, the software architecture, and if you want to achieve something, to support something, you have to start with the end in mind. You have to know what to support. So the educational principles of the architecture are leading. They're at the top of the iceberg. If you know what to support for education, for learning, for you guys, then you have to, only then can you think of what functionalities should this platform have. And only if you know what functionalities it should have, then you can think of what technology we need to enable these functionalities. So this is what we did. We, again, went to the Faculty of Education, and we asked them, what is the most important things we have to consider educational in the learning environment? And they helped us a great deal. They did some research on learning environments for professional education. And what they told us is there's several, you can look at it from a dimensions, two separate dimensions, and then if you consider them all, then you have a really effective learning environment. It's nothing to do with the digital part, it's only educational principles. So first of all, if you are learning, sometimes you are acquiring knowledge, you're just trying to understand the concepts in the theory. You're trying to recover from memory what you've learned, what you've read. And this is the acquisition learning processes that are at the top. At the bottom of this dimension is the participation learning process. It means if you're a professional, you have to attain a professional attitude, and you have to participate in a community of practice of this profession with other professionals, so you can have the right skills and attitude of this professional group. You have to have these learning processes in your learning environment. The other dimension is under the conditions under which the learning activities take place. So sometimes we give you the cases, we just made them up, or we constructed them in such a way that the learning of the theory and the concepts for you is really effective. It's examples, exercises, simulations. The other side of the dimension is where the learning activities are realistic. If you do an internship, we send you away to a company, and there you will be learning in a realistic setting. We have no influence on the setting there, what you encounter every day. So we have no control. Of course you do, to some extent. But it's fully complex. You cannot predict anything that will happen there. But it's really important to have these type of learning activities in your learning environment as well. So if you combine them, you get 4 quadrants of learning. Here's the first dimension, and here's the second one. And here in the top left corner, you learn about theoretical concepts with exercises in the classroom, or especially in the online environment. Here there's a project with cases that we described that don't have to exist in reality. Here there's learning on the job, and here there's reflective practice. It's also very important if you are doing an internship that at some point you reflect to have an expert interview, or with a coach or a mentor. What did you learn and what can you do next week to improve? These quadrants have some really important role in our learning environment. And the letters here stand for, at the top left, it's know, knowing stuff. Here is the P of practice. At the bottom right is the A for apply, and at the top right is the R for review. So if you have these traditional learning activities, don't have to be online. It's not blended learning. So if you want to make this blended, then you can design activities that are supported by ICT. So flipping the classroom fits into the left top corner of this graph, but you can have online workspaces. You can showcase results of your internship using ICT as a blended form of apply quadrant. And that gives a lot of opportunities, because if you look at this of a scale of increasing ICT in your learning activities, then at the bottom there's the traditional activities. You don't need ICT at all. And if you increase along the scale, you get ICT supported activities, and at the very top ICT can enable co-creation of education, which means that you create the clips where you explain certain concepts to your fellow students. And maybe you can have online expert interviews by students with the people that are the problem owners from the municipalities. We're not there yet, but we want to put a dot on the horizon where we want to go, and you know what to expect in the future from us. And in the ideal world, you can have some scenario in which all these learning activities have, through the time, you can see what they do. So first you try something, then you learn the concepts, then you try them in the job, then you reflect on them, then you try it again to improve, then you go back to the theory, and so on. And research has shown that this is a very effective way of learning for professional education. Then finally, we can think of the functional principles. So the system context is very important. We would want to do requirements engineering for this platform. So we thought, well, we know the whole context of the learning environment. What is the web-based part of it? And how can it be joined? Collaborative functionality should be part of the whole system. And the requirements process says we have to provide standard e-learning environment functionalities, such as watching clips and assignments and communication, which is not really blended always, because it's not all these learning processes are supported. And then we had to determine user types. The students and the teachers are very clear, but in this Essence project we also have people that are expert from the municipalities, and we have to involve them in the system as well. So we designed this system, this overview of how the blended learning system should work. I'm not going to explain the whole of it, but it says this is the online part, and this is the face-to-face local part, and then we also send you abroad for a week to work together at one of the universities. And this is the local city environment. So we incorporate this all in the design, and then we could think of the technical principles. What infrastructure do we need to enable the desired functionality? One of our students did a comparative study on several open source platforms, because some of the universities, including us, have some proprietary systems that are not open to share with the other universities. So we compared Moodle, Sakai, which was mentioned before, and Eliademy. Sakai came very close, but Moodle was more open to extend in the future, and because we don't want to say we're there and not keep improving, so we decided to choose Moodle. And Moodle is an open source platform that is already more than 15 years in development. They also have an app already in place. We didn't have to develop it ourselves, and well, that's what we implemented right now. We also made a design for the course structure, because we wanted to fulfill these conditions on the joint user experience. We had a visual banner at the top of every course to make students let them see where we are, you know, immediately in which course you are. This is a development section right now, because the teachers are using this platform also as a development platform for the course material, which is quite interesting. And here you can see the learning activity has this quadrant that I told you about before. So in that also visually, if you're studying this, you can visually see, you can see what type of learning activity you're undertaking at the moment. And this is what it is now. This is the Essence Moodle environment. And I invite you to go there. We opened it up for all guests to view for this conference. So you can go to moodle.essence.hu.nl. It's Dutch. A web link. I didn't have it in my slide because I wanted to show a demo, but because of the time I won't. So you can go there and you can view all the courses that are in place now. And if you have any suggestions on improving the functionality or the user experience or anything, just if you see me at the lunch or at the coffee break or anything in the hallway, just tell me. We're open to suggestions. So the next steps is we migrated from a test server to the production server now, which is really an improvement. We want to improve and extend functionality, support the learning, especially the workplace learning, because Moodle is very much focused on the knowledge acquisition part right now. And you learn so much if you're in an internship or doing your bachelor's thesis with a company or a municipality or any organization. And we want to make it, well, we want to support you in learning, in your learning in that place. But it's not right now in Moodle. So if you have any ideas, we're writing a research proposal on that. Video conferencing, web lecturing, we saw some great stuff. We don't want to invent the wheel again, so we will have to integrate one of the existing systems with Moodle to do this. And we want to look at this, what I just said. And then, very exciting, in November we will have a tryout of the system in Turku. Then in June with students in Manchester. And in September we're going to go live. So if you have any suggestions for me, please give them to me before August 2016, because otherwise I won't be able to incorporate them again. So thank you for your attention, and have a very nice, interesting day on smart, sustainable cities, because we need you to solve all the problems we have. Thank you.